I'd like to call this Caddo Parish Commission meeting, work session for February 6th to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Dominic. Present. Lyndon Johnson, Jackson, Lynn, Bowman, Cawthorn, Gage Watts, Middleton, Atkins, Chavez, Smith, Lewis Johnson.
President.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Could we have the invocation by Commissioner Bowman and the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Mills? Well, let's. Can we yield to Commissioner Lewis Johnson on the pledge?
Okay.
Everything caught me by guard, off guard.
And thank you, President Jackson, and I owe Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, if I can defer to her, because the next time I told her I would let her
I'm sorry.
do it.
Commissioner Gage Watts, could you please lead the invocation?
Let us bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you humbly as we know how, God. Thanking you, God, for this day that you have given us, oh Lord. God, I pray, Father God, right now in the name of Jesus, Father God, that you allow us, Father God, as we come into session for this meeting, God, that you will guide our minds, God, that you will guard our hearts, God, and that you will open our ears that we may hear clearly, oh God. Lord, we thank you, God, for all that you have done, all that you are doing, and all that you will do, God. It is in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
The flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, do we have any agenda additions?
I do not have any, sir.
Citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to speak or wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward it to the commission president or the clerk. Citizen comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and I'll take them in the order that I have them.
John and John.
We have Mr. John Settle, and I have 2 cards from him, so
He gets to speak twice.
we'll give him 6 minutes, 3 minutes apiece.
Thank you. My name is John Settle. My home address is 33 Tealwood, Shreveport. I'll talk about the UDC first. I've been trying to follow this with the council and trying to keep up with the amendments. I think we have 59 now, and I'm starting to kind of understand it pretty well. But you're going to have to look at it and adopt it yourself, and there's 3 concerns I have. One is that the ZBA now, Zoning Board of Appeals, if someone is unhappy with the decision where they're trying to get a variance or a special exception use, they appeal to you if their business is in the parish and you're 5 things. The proposed UDC takes away that right and requires that person or persons to appeal to the court system. That's a very poor remedy. It's going to cost money. Rarely can you get a judicial decision for 6 months to a year. And I really hope that y'all change that and have it as is now. If it's in your jurisdiction and that somebody doesn't like the ZBA opinion, that they appeal to you and not have to spend time and money going to court, because that'll really just kill the deal. If they have to wait a year and spend more money, they're not going to be able to get their use. Secondly, I really think that those of you who have parts of your district in the parish might want to really think about parish living versus city living. And when you ride your bicycle at 15 miles an hour over on the close to the edge, you see a lot more of the terrain than perhaps if you're like Commissioner Chavez and that high-dollar SUV zipping along. He may not notice things. But out in the parish, and I'm talking about south, right below, some in your district and some in Mr. Middleton's district, 175, Frierson, Norris Ferry, you see all types of buildings, and people move the parish for reasons. They lower taxes, more land, they can do more with it. And so you see animals in the front, you see storage things in the front, you see all kinds of uses that they wouldn't be able to do under the UDC unless they went and got a variance or a special exception use. That is, if they bought some new land, or, as I understand it, if they wanted to pull a permit to do something to their existing structure. And I think you just need to look at it. And if you want a good example, you can drive between, gee, I just lost between Linwood and Mansfield Road. That is Barron Road. Go south on Linwood past Southern Trace, towards Southern Loop. You've got about a 2-mile stretch, Barron Road, and it connects South Linwood to Mansfield by the Keithville Middle School, and you see everything there as far as uses, livestock, etc. Another thing I thought about is something that was alerted to, and Commissioner Johnson raised this before, is the impact on churches, especially small churches. Can I lapse in my next 3 minutes? Quickly. And I think he alluded to some problems his church had or had to help with. But there's a lot of small churches out within your 5-mile area. And I cycle past one on 175, right past the bayou, that they have a sign out. They meet twice a month. No pavement at all. I imagine that's been there for 100 years. And if they had to do something and put in pavement, I think that would kill that church. You have a church on Norris Ferry that has a big concrete lot, but I've been there on Sunday when they park on the grounds. But I think you need to look at that because we have a lot of small, independent churches, black and white, in the city and in the parish. And if they're going to pull permits to expand, which you hope a church can do, some of the requirements of a city slicker church is going to make it real expensive for them. So I'll be glad to give my thoughts to if you have a committee on that.
Thank you.
Another issue, y'all have a $200,000 plus employee that you don't get to supervise. And he's not an employee at will, like a lot of people. He has a contract. And I'm talking about Mark Sweeney, who you contribute your body over $200,000 to MPC. Mr. Sweeney has a contract that's a year contract, and it rolls over with the MPC if they don't terminate it by June. And so I have a problem with that's, to my knowledge, the only public official in this parish that has a contract. He's not really at will. And if you read the contract, I'm not sure if they terminate him, if they're not going to have to pay him some. I've included that in the package you all have in your legal staff list. That bothers me. It also bothers me that he doesn't respond to public records requests. When I send one to Mr. Wilson or to the attorneys, I get responses pretty quick. First time I sent one to him about expenses, he sent back this. It's really less than $3,000 of furniture, fixtures, carpet, equipment, etc. I knew it was more than that, and so finally, when I pushed him again, I get $80,000 worth of expenses for paneling, carpet, paint, fixtures, trash cans, etc. I'm not talking so much about the money. That's his budget, which you fund in part. But when the top executive does this and will not give me an explanation, I said, please explain the differences, a lawsuit's filed. And so now he'll get to tell Judge Marcotte what the problem was. And that is not what we should be spending public funds on, because he'll be having an MPC attorney doing that. And this is not an issue for y'all, but there is a transcript here where Mr. Sweeney either doesn't know the law as it applies to his agency or fibs about it when he talked to the city council and explaining why he had to do something. I just have a problem with that because y'all are asking me questions all the time about what the zoning laws is, what the impact of it is. If he doesn't know the laws pertaining to his agency, or if he fibs about them, I think that's a problem. Y'all don't have a vote on this. And the MPC board, if you want to come to meetings, is highly political. I mean, this is like third grade here. I'm sorry, even when y'all get wound up on something. And with the people there, it's so political that I think he may just get his contract rolled over and continue to do what he wants to do. I don't know, but I think it's something that y'all may want to look at. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Any other public comment? We're in your hand.
Next we move, we have no visitors. We move to reports, administration report.
Dr. Wilson.
Good afternoon, President Jackson, Commissioners. We have a few things today for you all. I'd like to begin by giving you an update from NLCall. And I invited Mr. Kent Rogers to here today to kind of bring you up to speed on several issues we've been tracking. Highway 3132, Jimmy Davis Bridge replacement project, and I-49. So, Mr. Kent, thank you for being here today, sir, and you have the floor.
Thank you. Kent Rogers, Executive Director, Northwest Louisiana Council of Government, 625 Texas Street, Suite 200, Freeport, Louisiana. Highway 3132, the Interloop Extension. At our January meeting, we passed a resolution in support of Alternative B2, recommending that Alternative B2 be recognized as the locally preferred alternative. Moving forward with the project, basically narrowed it down to that single alternative. The consulting firm, BKI, is the lead consulting firm doing the environmental work on that. They'll be doing some noise reports and finalizing some of the cultural and environmental reports. Most of those technical reports have been completed, have been submitted to Federal Highways and DOTD for their comments and whatnot to get it massaged down. We're looking at probably late spring, early summertime to have the final environmental statement or environmental assessment done. So summertime, we could probably have the public hearing on the project. Fall time frame, hopefully be done and ready to rock and roll with that project. The main things they have left to do, again, the noise study along that preferred corridor, some additional line and grade work that wasn't done with the original throughout the process as they've, massaged the thing down. There's a couple areas that we need to go back in and redo some line and grade work, but that's what's all covered in the next couple steps with 3132. Jimmy Davis Bridge. They've started some engineering and survey work out based on the new alternative of build full new bridge rather than rehabbing the existing and building a sister span. We're using the funding for that so far. The funding has been from that Senator Peacock had appropriated through capital outlay matched with some federal monies. So they're moving along that process. The end of this year, they'll have to do a little minor update to some of the environmental work that was done, primarily because of the birds again. But moving forward with that project and looking forward to going forward with a full-blown 4-lane bridge rather than fix the 2 lanes and the new sister 2-span. I-49 inner city, we still have some work looking at, there was a recommendation made late last year for the removal of a couple of the alignments. Federal Highways and DOTD approved, DOTD concurred and sent on all of it. Federal Highways only approved of the removal of one of them at this time. They asked a bunch of questions on some of the others. Those questions are being addressed and answered as best as we can. The one that was removed is alignment 3. If y'all remember the big maps, it's the one that kind of shoots more farther into the downtown area, kind of going around rather than a more direct route through. Again, with that project, we're hoping that with the timeline that was set out, that the draft EIS will be submitted to DOTD and the resource agencies probably late summer, early fall, which means we could have the public hearing on that document probably late fall, early winter. So first part of next year, hopefully have a signed document and move on from there. I know that some people have had some questions recently on I-69. One of the things that we're looking at doing is looking at the segment that goes from the port to I-49. We've requested permission to look at it kind of like what Arkansas has been able to do in a couple of spots. Actually build one leg of it, stripe it as a 2-lane facility. It actually be built to interstate standards, but only striped as a 2-lane facility. That'd start getting some relief out. Also start getting some pavement on the ground in terms of Louisiana, because we have no pavement on the ground in terms of I-69 versus everybody else has. So, questions?
Commissioner, well, wait a minute. Did I may have missed the I-49 piece.
Intercity, we've had one of the alignments has been removed. I think it was number 3. It's the one that kind of went through. We're still answering some questions they had on some of the others before they'll knock any of the others out. Initially, we were looking at going into the draft EIS with 2. Federal Highways has said, let's get it narrowed down to 1 before we go into the draft. Again, hopefully that can get out to the public in the fall timeframe. Public hearing late fall, early winter. So this time next year.
Got a couple people on the board, Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, President Jackson. Mr. Rogers, you mentioned 3132 and that B2 is the locally preferred option.
Correct.
And I'm trying to remember my maps. Can you help me with remembering B2? Where is that versus vis-a-vis 12 Oaks and Mr. Larkin's development and the Bayou?
All of the alternatives that it's been narrowed down to this prior to our recommendation of that, B1 and B2, they all had the exact same. They were 99% the same from Flournoy Lucas down to roughly Leonard Road. Kind of cut through part of Larkin's property, then cut across Bayou Pierre, just I want to say a little bit south of where his bridge is, and then did the easiest, quickest direct route to where I-69 would cross. It didn't do the other B had a pretty wild curve in it.
Okay.
It was strictly design standards and whatnot.
So basically shooting between Larkin and Mr. Larkin's development and 12 Oaks.
Correct. There will be some impact to some of Larkin's property though.
And how about the 12 Oaks people have expressed concern about noise and that type of thing? You know, what do you know the distance?
That's the next portion of the work that they're doing is the noise study, and most of that, I want to say, there were 24 residents within what they call the noise buffer area that would be more directly impacted. I don't remember exactly.
What does that, what's the possible remedies or, you know, resolutions if people are within the noise impact zone?
It depends on what that decibel levels are. I mean, that's the next step that they're about to start working on is what those would be, what the impacts would be. Some of the things they do, you know, you could do anything from trees to heavy bushes to noise wall to, you know, different options.
So they'll decide their design and engineering plan will be designed such to try to minimize that noise impact.
Correct. It'll make a recommendation in terms of how to minimize that noise impact.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Dunn.
Ken, appreciate you coming here today. Got a quick question. When will the next, I call it leg or intersection, be open from Highway 1 to I-220?
For 49?
Yes.
I don't think they're going to open any more of it until the interchange is done.
Until what?
I don't think they're going to open any more of it until the big interchange at 220 is completed.
When will that be completed?
Hang on, I got it early next year.
So early 2018?
Correct.
So that means probably early 2019?
No, that's early. This is no.
I hope so. The last time I think it was supposed to be like last December.
Yeah, well, 2 years ago, or I guess it was last year and a little bit of the year before when all the rains and water and everything, they basically got about a year behind schedule.
All right, early 2018. I appreciate it.
That's what they're telling us. So.
Okay. Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Commissioner Atkins asked my question, so I'm good.
Commissioner Gage-Watt.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rogers, on 3132, I've gotten a lot of complaints about an area that is very dark. I learned recently that the DOTD did not include this area to even have lighting. From Walker Road to the Pines Road area, there are absolutely no lights. Could you put emphasis on that area to why there were no lights included in that?
I know that there were, over the life of the whole project, there have been a couple of different lighting plans out there. if I recall correctly, it was broken, I'd have to go back and do some research, but I think it was broken up into some various different sections. Why it never moved past or any additional was put on, I'll have to do some research on that and I'll check, find out.
Thank you.
But I do know that there were a series of projects out there for lighting along.
Because it's a safety issue, definitely, in that area. There has been a lot of fatalities also, and that could be a benefactor to that. So I would like to know that information, and if there are any plans in the near future to put lighting in that area. I've heard funding is an issue, but it needs to be found.
I'll check. I do know that there are one other thing in terms of safety projects. There is a cable barrier project that's supposed to be lit sometime this year to do cable barriers down a good portion of it.
Thank you, sir.
Let me get a clarification. Cable barriers on 3132?
Cable barriers on 3132, 20, 49, and 220 in appropriate spots on all the controlled access.
And if I get clarification, you're saying there are no lights or the lights are out?
There are none.
There's a couple of spots where I know there's no lights.
So
not that they're out, there's no lights.
No lights.
That's not good. Almost kind of backwards to me if it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I wrote down. We'll check on that.
Yes, I'm done. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Rogers, there's already a lot of infrastructure in place, particularly 3132 in Jewella and South Shreveport. What is the increased traffic anticipation on 3132 from where I-49 hits 3132 north of town and where it will be connecting on south of town? What is the increased traffic?
From like 220 down to the existing 49?
Where I-49 is going to tee into 3132, close to North Market, north of town, and where...
You mean 220?
220, excuse me, yeah, 220.
220 interchanged. I don't have the numbers off. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I'll get them for you.
Will you get the anticipated amount of traffic that will increase, because that 220/3132 increase, doesn't 220 change into 3132 at a certain point?
Where Storm
Yeah,
Gate
right.
talking about.
At 20.
At the interchange.
At the interchange. Right, at that interchange. And so the increase in traffic between that point and I-49 at 3132 for people traveling through South Shreveport.
I'll get those numbers for you. I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but we can get them.
It would be interesting for business development. It seems like some businesses might want to have their, get their boots ready to, if it truly is going to open up, or, an approximate time whenever you said it would. You said the beginning of next year?
The 220 interchange is scheduled to open, I think it said January, beginning of 2018 is what they have.
Okay. That's soon. All right. Thank you. That's everything.
Okay.
Mr. Rogers, would you please tell us the cost for that B2 option, proposed cost, and how will that be paid for? If you mind.
Current estimates are between 177 and 184 million. Traditional funding for that would be 80-20, 80% federal with a 20% match support.
State.
Likelihood that would be state, yeah. They may ask for
I say likelihood.
they may ask for a trying to remember the term, basically a token,
Local match?
small match support. Just to give you an instance, with the Barksdale Gate Access Road, that's roughly $80 million. They've asked Bossier if they put up like $5 million. So there may be they may ask the locals to put up something.
They ask both the city or both the parish.
Bossier Parish is going to do it.
That's fine.
Through they have, I'm trying to remember how it is, but basically the funds that they've used the capital funds on the courthouse and the juvenile center and all that's going off the books pretty soon, so they'll free up some money.
I had a question. Oh, were you finished up?
No, I can wait till you finish.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't
Mr. Rogers, that's about 5 miles, right, of road? A little 5 miles?
Roughly 6 miles, right at 6 miles.
So 177 million for 6 miles of road.
Correct.
The second question, the Jimmy Davis Bridge, the new one?
Yes.
Is there a preferred location for that yet?
Just north of where the existing bridge is.
Okay. And we're hopefully going to keep the old bridge for pedestrian and bicycle path?
There will be the original intent in the environmental study that was done for the project came out with 2 alternatives. One of those was the rehab existing, build sister span. The second, which was the build new 4-lane facility, had bike ped component on it.
Right.
There is some folks at the state level pushing to use the existing bridge as the bike ped facility.
Okay.
The only stickler with that is they'd want to turn that over to one of the local jurisdictions at that point. And I'm not sure any of the 4 of y'all, being y'all or Bossier Parish or City of Shreveport or Bossier City, are willing to accept that bridge into your system. Yeah. It's pretty big.
Yes, it is.
That's a pretty hefty bridge and a hefty price tag.
Are the eagles still there?
Excuse me?
Are the eagles still nesting there?
Follows.
Forget what, yeah, barn swallows is the real problem there. But
Have they
it's-
moved the eagles out of 31, 32 pay?
No, they haven't.
We feeding them?
The interesting thing is, well, the Eagles were more on the B1 alternative also. That's a lot of the reason for the push the other direction. There's some other issues down in that area. The interesting thing is there's actually, with bald eagles being, they're protected, they're not endangered, which means you have different things. There's actually 2 eagle nests along I-10 in the middle of Baton Rouge.
Yes, sir.
Kent, I have some questions about, can you repeat that figure for the B2 route again? How much was that?
177 to 184 million.
And have you been keeping up, I just wanted to, have you been keeping up with the President Trump issued the executive order on easing the environmental impact study?
Yes, there were, and actually a lot of the easing of the environmental stuff actually started with the most recent federal highways legislation, had some streamlining and efforts in there. The only problem or the issues with those are you had to start the process under those new guidelines. And since this was started under the old guidelines, we still have to live by them, according to EPA.
So
Of course, EPA
all of your current routes now they're basically grandfathered under the existing?
Correct.
Okay. So
The
executive
benefit
order-
is in the future, some of this, some of the efforts should be streamlined and get it done quicker and move forward with things quicker. Joint review times, just some common sense measures put into it also.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Karen,
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. I appreciate it.
appreciate everything you do.
Yeah.
No problem.
See you the next.
And just for y'all's, I know some of y'all were involved in the bike ped effort. City's actually having a hearing tonight
5:30.
on about 4 or 5 routes that are part of that whole thing.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Commissioners, I'd like to recognize one of my team members, Ms. Valerie Gunn. And she's in it. Ms. Valerie has been selected as the incoming NLEP Vice Chair for 2017. That means next year she will be the chairman-elect next year. And I just want to recognize her. She's been on the NLEP committee for 5 years.
Yes.
And she has done a great job representing us, and we all going to be proud of her efforts. So I just want to publicly let her know how much we appreciate her and how proud we are that she's been able to attain this level, achieve this level within the organization. And she will do a great job for us as incoming chair next year as well.
Thank you so much.
Valerie, job well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh, you want to say this? Commissioner Bowman is on the board.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Began, I just want to thank you for not only NLEP and thank you in advance for even the chairmanship, but I just want to thank you for representing the parish in so many facets so well and successfully, and it's an honor to have you work with us, and it's an honor to have you representing us, and I just thank God for you.
Thank you so much.
Well, I don't see anybody else, but I'd just say, thank you for echoing most of what Commissioner Bowman has already said, and can't think of another person to represent this body with the NLEP and Economic Development Professionals. I see Taylor sitting back there, and I know he's proud of you. But, you network and you get our name out there, and you definitely get us connected, small business connected to the parish. So appreciate all of your lead work in doing it. So that's not going to be job well done next year. I know you'll do well with it. And I'm sure Dr. Wilson, you help him take some of that work off of his plate. So appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Wilson, to Erica and Randy for the support of allowing me the flexibility. I really love Caddo Parish and working here and what I do to bring awareness to the community of all the programs we have here at the parish, but also in this role to work with existing businesses so that we can maintain them here in our parish, as well as ways that we can attract new businesses in North Louisiana. So I'm so happy and honored to be chosen and hopefully confirmed next year as the chairman in 2018. Thank you so much for your support.
Let us know by December if
Oh,
we could probably fix it.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Commissioner Valerie also, she manages our small and emerging business program as well. And you have a report for 2016 at your stations?
Yes.
And we'll be glad to answer any questions you may have relative to this report. So it's how well we interact with small businesses, and we have a goal of 25% of the business that we do in the parish is to encourage small businesses to do business with the parish. So we're working on that. And my last, we got one more for you.
Before you leave that subject.
Huh?
Well, hold on. Go ahead, Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I see the overall is 25%, but we still have some departments that's kind of low. So we have some kind of incentive to try to raise those.
Always. So we encourage businesses to register with us, and we try to make sure we give them additional consideration of doing business with Caddo. And with our big projects, we look at ways to break it down so that we can include small emerging businesses. And we're not what we want to be by far, but we have the plan to work towards it. And sometimes there's not enough businesses that will participate in our program, because a large portion of what we do is road maintenance work, which is the bulk of what we do, about $8 to $10 million a year, and not a lot of small businesses are into that work. So it hampers what we can do when you have to factor in all the numbers. But we do have a concerning initiative that address that.
Okay. Actually, I was called to a meeting that the minority contractors had last month, and they had some issues with not only the parish but the city, school board, and they had some concerns. And I told them, I said, well, if the only concerns are being discussed in this meeting and not being discussed down at 505 Travis or Midway, nobody will actually know. So look to see some additional concerns and issues come out that they had or have of working with local government.
We welcome that, sir, the feedback. And I said, Valley does a great job interacting with those agencies. So if they would let us know what their concerns are.
I might just take it to the next meeting.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay, Commissioners, the next item is that I'm pleased to inform you all that we have received the Certificate of Achievement and Excellence in Finance Reporting. And this is recognized by GOFA of the state. and recognizes that the certificate of achievement is the highest form of recognition for government, accounting, and financial reporting. And it is attainment represents a significant accomplishment by the government of its management. So we are proud to say we have consistently received this award the last several years. And it's just indicative to the fact that Ms. Bryant and her colleagues, they do a great job with the financial reporting, because they look at our budget process and they set totally outside objective view, and they make this award. So we are proud of Erica and her team.
Ms. Bryant rocks.
Okay. Last but not least, we have a couple of our
Hey, you're
HCO.
getting like a preacher now, because I thought you said last.
Here comes tithes and offering.
Well, Commissioner Jackson, don't get concerned until I start passing the hat, okay?
I'm gonna leave.
Okay, so Chuck, you want to come in and introduce our, we have some of the animal control officers. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, they out there day in and day out doing a yeoman's job, keeping our citizens safe. So we like to you see the space of some of the folks who serve in that capacity. And Mr. Chuck, would you introduce our team members, please?
Yeah, we'd like to introduce and recognize 3 of our animal control officers that went through some training over the past year, and they got their commission, and now they can go out into the communities and issue summonses and enforce the ordinance. And they are Tamara Warner, Adrian Paper,
Yay!
and Ramon Washington. Go Ramon! And these guys work hard every day, and night too. We got to be prepared 24 hours a day, and these are the people that do that. So I'd like to thank them.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck.
Commissioner Bowman.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I'll be brief. I just want to first thank Director Kelvin Samuel and for his proactiveness, and Dr. Chuck Wilson for supporting it. This is important, you all, not only because a lot of times we get flack from the outside community, and some things are proven true and some things are false, but when it comes to these officers, they're like the unsung heroes, and I've said it before publicly. They work hard, and I'll say it even to any officer as the Shreveport Police Department. You have to care for what you're doing. They care for the animals' lives as if they're officers' lives, and they have to see day in and day out euthanasia, because they have to administer that. And I can only imagine the psychological and emotional distress that can be alone, much less rescuing and getting all of the negative advantages. So I just want to thank you all and let the public know how much, you don't just sign up to do this. You all train hard. You've gone down to Baton Rouge. You've been commissioned. There was a lot of studying that took place. And so everyone just can't get up and just say that they're just an animal control officer. And the Caddo Parish has, not just with them, and in the past, has been very great at making sure everyone is commissioned and has followed protocol and is vetted to represent us, and they represent us well. And I just personally thank you all, and hopefully on behalf of the parish, I thank you all for what you do day in and out, what's reported and not put out even into the limelight. What you all do is being unsung heroes, and we appreciate you very much.
Commissioner Milt.
Thank you. Thank y'all for being here today, and Chuck and Kelvin and host staff, everyone out there. Can't thank everybody individually, but y'all had a great program this weekend. I've got nothing but great feedback from it. I understand it was a win-win for both folks, the animal control folks, and as well as the animal, I don't want to say activists, but the ones that have concern about the animals in our community and the way they're handled. Mr. Bowman's comments are right on target, but also let's just extend that, and maybe another place I could give these comments. I'll just do it now since we have CPAWS up here and these folks can hear it, just in case they have to go back to their work. But anyhow, y'all are doing a great job. Everything's getting better. I'm hearing less out in the community, which means that's better. And that's great, and I appreciate y'all taking this extra effort this last Saturday and working with these folks, and hopefully it's a program that will continue going on and on and on and on, and we can extend it to whatever we can. We need to use these citizen volunteers as much as we can, and I think it'll make it easier for everyone. Just let us know what we can do to continue to make it help And again, thank you for people such as Paws for Life and others who are rescuing these animals out to other areas of the country, and that's great. Anything y'all can do to help them is really great. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you, Dr. Wilson, for helping facilitate that too. That's it, sir.
Chuck, could you, well, before I go, I echo Commissioner Bowman and Middleton, outstanding work. This is great to see certified. Do they get an increase in their pay?
They need to. They need to.
Eventually, yes.
So Ramon won't get on me for not asking that, and whatever he tells you about me, don't believe. But this is great. Anytime we can give folks an opportunity to move up the ladder and get those credentials, you know, we can take all that other stuff away from them, off of them, but we can't take those credentials and the certification and training they got, and that's good to know that we have trained professionals out on the street doing what they do. It's a sensitive topic, as we discussed in the meeting earlier. People are passionate about it, and so, you know, we have the ability to go out and say, hey, we got trained professionals, and, you know, we can look folks in the face and say we're working and striving to be the best. But could you just talk and give us a little update about how Saturday went, just briefly, and, you know, any feedback?
Okay, yeah, we had about 12 to 14 people come out Saturday. We had a briefing that our vet tech gave to them, probably about a 45-minute briefing, slides and everything. And after the briefing, we toured them through the facility, and then after that, the volunteers took most of the adoption dogs out and socialized them, and we had some people that would socialize the cats, and we had about 8 puppies out there that they all got bathed, and 1 or 2 of the bigger dogs got bathed. So overall, it was a very successful Saturday. We enjoyed it.
Appreciate you and administration for getting that. This is just a pilot program, if I understand. It's piloting that.
Yes, sir.
So let's be sure we get with Ms. Grinley to talk about the certification of the officers and the pilot program that's going on, and hopefully there can be some good fruit that comes out of our conversation we had this morning. But thank you all for your efforts and what you're doing. I see Commissioner Bowman back.
Yes, sir. And I'll be done. I just had a question, not only to the director, but to the officers. Sometimes it's good just to get you all your honest opinion. What can we do, and are there any suggestions in making and working with the volunteers, as Commissioner Middleton stated? What is it that we can do, or is there something that we're missing that we can help to make that relationship more cohesive? Are we abiding by the policies and procedures that are set by those who are volunteering with us? Or is there something that we're doing perfectly, or is there something, everything
No,
can have
I
something?
mean, you know, we've always had volunteers out there. You know, we're normally on Saturday. We wasn't open on Saturday until
Correct.
a couple of years ago, and that was we started being open on Saturday so people could come and find their pets and come and adopt pets. But
Yes, sir.
we had minimum manning, you know, so we couldn't really take a bunch of volunteers. But we decided to add some part-time person out there, and hopefully this Saturday pilot program is going to work. And you know, it worked very well this past Saturday. But yeah, we've always had volunteers that
Correct.
come out there through the week. So.
All right. And we're working with different volunteer groups, not just one. We're not having a monopoly, correct?
No, we have all kind of volunteers from
Okay.
all walks of life.
We have 80 different groups we work with.
Currently.
Right.
Well, those are the rescues that we take all the animals to. You know, there was over 80 rescue groups this past year that got animals from Caddo Parish Animal Shelter.
Okay. And I don't want to be out of order, but I just like clarification. I'm trying to do better in 2017. When it relates to Miss Tanya and the Paws for Life, what is her official capacity at the shelter?
She's our volunteer rescue coordinator. And,
Okay. And that's volunteer, not paid by us?
Yeah, no, she's not paid by us.
Okay.
But, she coordinates with a lot of the rescues, especially all the out-of-state rescues. And she does transports to get the animals out.
Correct.
And as you know, about 5 months ago, we gave her a plaque up here because
Right.
she does do an awesome job.
She does. She does. I just want to make sure we're working cohesively and we understand our role and not that we're volunteering and not that we're mandating things. Just trying to safe check that. All right. Thank you all again. Congratulations.
Amen.
I was waiting for the collection plate
I
to
thought
come
the
around.
auction plate was coming from right here.
Well, hey, I do have to travel this weekend.
John usually has a hat.
Mr. Settle, where's your hat?
Attorney.
All right. Is that it?
We need to pass with some money in it.
Is that it, administration?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. All
All
right.
right, next we move to communications committee reports.
Commissioner Lynn.
There is a meeting tonight at Centenary College in the Whited Room, 5:30 p.m. It has to do with bicycle pathways. We have been working closely with Councilman Jeff Everson and Mayor Tyler in putting together some routes that would be friendly to the cars and friendlier to the bicyclists throughout the city of Shreveport using the Caddo Parish City of Shreveport Bicycle Master Plan that was assembled year before last and voted into place last year. So anybody that wants to attend the meeting, please do so. 5:30 tonight in the Whited Room, which is where the cafeteria is located, Centenary College. That's it.
And Commissioner Lynn, are those bike lanes gonna be on my side of the Highland or your side of the Highland?
You better be there tonight because we're going to be doing tug of war.
Like, we split that street.
As long as it's all of it in Caddo.
All of it is in Caddo. Anybody else? All right.
Next we move to president's report.
Just wanted to note that the committee assignments have been posted, and so we'll govern ourselves according to those. Animal Services did meet today. I'll be chairing that committee temporarily. Had Chuck to speak about the volunteer report. I will not be in this Thursday, so I'm sure our capable vice president will be able to handle it. If not, let me know. I can postpone my trip and come back to take care of these things. I also wanted to, I did want to, but Commissioner Lynn mentioned the bicycle pedestrian master plan. This is just another opportunity for our master plan being put into action. And so that's going to be a great thing. The other thing that I wanted to inquire about was Dr. Wilson, if you could, well, I'll get with you offline on that. Don't worry about it. I'll get with you offline. That concludes my report. I'll go back up to Commissioner Johnson.
I just want to let everyone know that I'll be hosting a Human Trafficking Summit February 19th, 5:30 to 7:30 at Morningstar Life Center. Where? Morningstar Life Center, 5340 GL Avenue.
What was that date?
Please,
February 19th. 5:30 to 7:30.
It's also Dr. L. Hunt, Life Center as well.
Murphy.
Yes, sir. On Juella? Okay.
5340 GL.
Dr. Wilson, I actually will get with, I'll actually get with Michelle. That's for the 23rd of February. 23rd. I'll get with her.
No, 19th.
All right, that's it for me.
We have no old business. We move to new business. Zoning case P16 in regards to ordinance number 5671 of 2017. Amending the zoning property located on the southeast corner of Buncombe Road and Simpson Road, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from RA Residential Agriculture to RAE Residential Agriculture Extended Use. Bradley, Murkison, Kelly, and Shea applicant. Limited to a gas compression station only.
Move to Thursday.
Moved by Commissioner Lewis Johnson, second by Commissioner Dominic.
Right.
Any questions for introduction? Please vote. Excuse me.
I know about
Sometimes kind of shocking off. All right, that passes 12-0.
Authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5672 of 2017 to repeal ordinance 5583 of 2016 regarding site plan review.
Move to advance.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Middleton. I'd like to make a motion to table indefinitely this evening.
Second.
It's Been moved by the chair, second by Commissioner Bowman. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, I didn't get a chance to talk about it before you made your motion to table indefinitely. The reason I bring this up, basically with the site plan review, this is a very important starting of any development. And I feel that one person should not be responsible for site plan review. There should at least be a committee that does it, a small committee, however, but not just one person. It has great impact on future development. If that person, for whatever chance, might have some ill feelings toward another person, that emotions could get involved and then it sits on a person's desk. So I feel that if it's a committee, then it can move forward, and if it's denied, then it has a reason for being denied. We are elected officials. We are supposed to be the voice of the people who are actually in Caddo Parish. We appoint the people who are on the MPC. They then appoint the executive director. So you got a second layer appointment making these very important decisions by himself, and it should be done at least by a committee.
Is that it?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn.
Mark, could you come up and address this?
Yes, sir. Basically, if you remember in our presentation to the Long Range Committee of the Parish Commission that we did back on January, I think it was the 3rd, it was explained then that this process is what most cities do nowadays, and that you basically have a committee in place. It's the Site Plan Review Committee, which is composed of members of the parish departments, public works, your representatives for other types of functions related to development, along with the city departments as well. So you actually get the feed in from all of your departments before I actually make the final signature. And we have a certain set criteria in the ordinance that basically says if it meets all of the criteria, I basically have to sign it to approve it. So it's not like I have the ability to just change my mind. I have to have a good reason for it. And if the applicant doesn't like what I do, it can be appealed straight to the MPC board. So there is a pathway for an appeal if I do anything incorrect or if I do something they don't agree with. So technically speaking, the final decision is the MPC board if it's appealed.
And then I guess then the MPC's decision could be appealed as well?
That's true, yes.
All right, thank you. That's everything.
Thank you. You might want to stick around. Sure. Commissioner Gage Watt.
Thank you, sir. Interesting, as always. I've been faced with this same problem about a site plan review for a business that is opening in Commissioner Bowman's district. They have been having an issue with a site plan, which the process that you're talking about, when they have to go back in to reapply with the MPC once everything is denied, or, well, of course, if it's approved, they don't have to do that, but if it's denied, then they have to go through these steps. Well, the problem comes in if they have a loan and they're waiting and it's past that 90-day window. And once it's past that 90-day window, they can't be approved for their loan for whatever reason because it's been held up waiting to get back on this docket. So I think this is something that we need to reconsider when we're saying that, you're putting it all in one hand and it's not moving forward. It stops it from moving in the right direction, which is stopping business from growing in our communities. So this is something that I will support, Commissioner Johnson, because I think this is something that we do need to reevaluate.
That's it.
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. Mr. Sweeney, I have two questions that you can answer on this ordinance 5583. The time frame for your decision, is it set in stone? How long do you have before you have to render a decision?
It basically, based upon the way the ordinance is written, it's typically approved within 30 days or less.
So you have 30 days where you can either sit on your desk and not get approved,
or get approved?
The only reason it would sit on my desk is if the applicant is not supplying us with the information that's requested either by the parish departments or the city departments. And that's typically where the holdup is. If there's any delay, it's usually because the applicant is delaying or not providing us with the information. I've not had, since we approved this new system in August the 1st of this last year, we've not denied any site plans, and all site plans that have been officially submitted and gone through the process have been approved on an average of about 28 days.
Okay. So at the 30th day, what would happen if a decision has not been rendered?
It continues to stay with us until the issue is resolved with the city department or the parish department.
Okay.
Once the Public Works Department says to me, yes, Mark, they can do this, then I can sign off on it. The best way to explain it is that the MPC is the last man standing in the process. It's a team effort where we reach out to engineering, public works, fire and safety code. Everything comes together on the site plan. Once they meet all the things that are required by our ordinance, or like from Jim Ollier with the Department of Transportation, once they meet those requirements, then my stamp of approval goes on it and I sign off. And that's been done effectively since August 1st, basically on an average of sometimes as short as a 2 to 3 day turnaround and typically about a 28-day turnaround.
Okay.
I will emphasize to you, this is something the development community asked us to do. And it's been in existence in Bossier City for 13 years. And this is being competitive with the business community because before that it took 60 to 90 days to get anything approved. Now we can do it in 30 days or less. That's being efficient and business friendly.
Thank you for that, Mark. Second question, it's a two-part question. After the MPC appeal, then who does it go to? Now and after the UDC?
Right now, as it stands, the appeal would go probably to the Parish Commission itself if it's a parish project. Under the UDC, it will actually go to district court.
Okay.
And you remember, and I come back, and I don't want to beat a dead horse to death, you realize that the cases that have been lost in recent years have all been over site plans. Because site plans are technical, they're not political, and you can't decide them based on whether or not one group likes this versus another, and the courts consistently have given defeat, especially with the case of the city, on about 4 cases in the last few years.
All right, that's all. Thanks for the clarification, Mark.
That's it.
That's it, President.
President Dodd.
Yeah, just clarification. So Commissioner Johnson had made this motion to move this forward, but you made a motion to delay it?
Postpone or table indefinitely because we dealt with this issue before.
What would be the, I mean, it seemed like to me, you either vote for his or vote against it.
Well, they continue to bring it up, that's what I'm saying. Indefinitely.
Well, he could bring it up anyway. I mean, even if your motion passes, I mean, he could bring it up.
No, we're putting it on the table.
I think his motion was to table it. Once it's on the table, it'll take a 2/3 vote to take it from the table.
I was just requesting to speak to that same thing, so you can take it out.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Once it's tabled, it takes 2/3 to bring it off the table.
Yes.
That's true.
I remember looking at it. I didn't see that when I was. It's been 6 months ago since I looked at that.
That's
Okay.
Of course.
My question's been answered.
Commissioner Lewis.
I appreciate what you're saying, Mr. Sweeney, but as relates to Commissioner Johnson's concern, is there any clarity as relates to the, it's a lack of clarity if those other areas, be it Public Works and Fire and whomever, have to look at it before you get it, as with the city inspections, if you would. Does that differ from what Commissioner Johnson was saying, or that's inconsistent in that respect? So
it's somewhat
I'm trying to get clarity before.
Sure. He had mentioned a group effort to make sure something is approved. Well, even though I'm the one who does the final approval, it is a group effort because if, for example, the Public Works Department told me, Mark, we have a problem with this applicant. He has not done what we've asked him to do on the water or sewer or the street issue. I would not sign off on it until they were happy with it.
I'm clear on that. I guess, and I don't know if it's in order, I hope not to be out of order, but I guess the question would be to Commissioner Johnson. Would you have a committee make that final decision in addition to Mrs. Sweeney? Is that what your point is?
It's a final decision as opposed to one person.
I'm sorry, sir?
Committee as opposed to one person. Instead of one person stamping and saying he signs off on it, it's a committee that signs off on it instead of one person.
Okay. I respectfully understand what you're saying, but that one person signed off on it after others have already looked at it. Is that the way that I appreciate that?
That is the way the system was set up on August the 1st, and that was the model that we borrowed from other cities.
I'm clear. Thank you, and thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
Commissioner Lyndon Johnson.
Okay, so how often does the committee meet?
The committee we actually have a committee that meets every 2 weeks.
2 weeks. And on the parish side, you say it's Public Works?
Public Works has a representative, and you also have with Robert Westerman, who represents engineering for both the city and the parish, attends that meeting.
Well, I think that he shouldn't be representing the parish.
Well, I didn't set that up, sir. That's something between the parish and the administration.
Mr. Johnson, Mr. James Demishay represents Public Works.
Okay.
If we encounter an engineering problem related to drainage, we have a prior agreement with the city that they would provide that engineering work for us. So we either had to go out and hire an engineer just to do limited drainage work that we come in from time to time. So there's an agreement with that. Mr. Ali Astafa used to do that for us. So that was transferred to the current engineer at the city. So if we have a technical problem that requires a professional engineer's opinion, we rely on the city to a prior agreement. That's what he's making reference to. Ordinarily, Mr. James Demishay, that person for Public Works.
Okay. And Mr. Sweeney, keep comparing us to Bossier, and it's apples to oranges on that. Because two systems are totally different. I know in our meeting that we had with the city council, yourself, and some of the commissioners, the port director mentioned that there was a site plan approval or site plan that was sitting on your desk that hadn't been approved for the port. What is the status of that now as opposed to what it was then?
There's a legal issue over the jurisdiction factor of dealing with the MPC. The port currently states that there is no jurisdiction by the MPC over the port, and that site plan is not in front of me anymore. It's gone. It's not a part of me. The city has taken care of that, and it's not on my desk anymore.
Okay, so after the committee buys into, or say they approve it, how long does it take for you to approve it? Or have you rejected any after they approved it?
No, sir, I haven't. Not since August 1st. I've not denied one site plan.
Since August 1st?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's when the new system went into effect.
Okay, so site plans gets approved, then how long does it take for them to get on the MPC agenda?
Well, they don't have to. That's the whole beauty of it. It's an administrative approval. There is no longer a requirement for it to be on the board. The board doesn't have to take any action.
Okay, so if the board does have to take action, how long does that take?
If there's an appeal of my decision, if I deny something and there's an appeal, it would go on the next agenda, which would be the next month.
Well, right now, people are saying that it's like in October of last year, they were saying that they couldn't get on the MPC agenda until January.
Well, no, it depends on what it is. See, this is a site plan, and a site plan doesn't require a public hearing, so we can put it on the agenda almost immediately.
Okay.
See, if it's a zoning case, I have to do notification and go through advertisement, and I have to do all that stuff by state law. That's the reason why you have a delay on zoning cases, because it requires a different view and perspective.
So, even if there's a site plan with a zoning change, it still takes almost 90 to 120 days?
The zoning case may take 60 days or so, but the site plan, which is reviewed and approved separately, would be done within probably 30 days or less.
Okay. So,
Which is the part that that gets us, the technical part that gets approved and done, so that when their zoning case is shown before the MPC board, we already have all the answers to that issue, so it doesn't affect their zoning case and actually strengthens their zoning case going forward.
All right, so I think most of the zoning, well, most of the site plans that have issues will be with zoning changes. Correct?
Not necessarily. There sometimes there will be a zoning case accompanying a request for site plan approval, but I'd say probably more than half the time it is just site plans for projects that are property that's already zoned appropriately. If it already has the right zoning and they want to develop a new shopping center, let's say on a B2 zone property, all they're going to need to do is ask for site plan approval.
Okay. When we was working with Walmart,
Wrap it up.
when we was dealing with Walmart, Walmart said basically that the MPC was giving them a hard time, or process, the site plan approval was giving them a hard time because they was requiring additional parking spots. And when you have Walmart as a national chain that builds these same stores all across the United States, you then say, well, you need more. They say we need less, and so they built it to a particular standard. Same thing happened with Extra Drugs. You said that no, you need more parking spots. So what happened? Blanchard annexed that land into it, and they let them build it the way that they said that they wanted to build it. So we can continue to do it that way, and if it's closer to the areas of some other municipalities besides Shreveport, just gonna get annexed in and be done in a quick way. So
Well, two things. Number one, I didn't handle the Walmart case that you're talking about. Number two, we have a new system in place. That system, the new system for site plan review, is different from the one before August the 1st. And so any issues related to site, if Walmart were to come in today, they would find our process a lot more streamlined and much more efficient. That's the beauty of this new system.
okay.
All right, Commissioner Bowman, is this your first time on the amendment? Okay.
Well, yeah, I had a question to, I don't know if it's present, if I could relate to, because I know Commissioner Gates Watts mentioned something in my district, and I do recall what you're saying is relation to the Pizza Hut, that little shopping strip that's new there. How is that relating, if I can address that to even her? What's the difference? How would what he's doing, would it challenge us? Because I know there was a hold up, an issue with the person next to the business as well.
From my understanding, the Pizza Hut is moving forward, and they have placed their sign out. They've done their landscaping. They're doing everything to the inside, and there's the small business that is not a nationally chain known business that is at a standstill. And because of this, it's because of a site plan review. So let me ask you this question, if I may.
Hold on.
That's fine.
Commissioner Bowman still has the floor.
Yes.
So,
but I think we may be asking the same question in relation to that. I'm questioning about the other business. I appreciate the support on them and Pizza Hut, because we're trying to keep that area continuously with positive business.
Sure.
And they are doing well, and I think that would attract good tourists as well as the local residents. But go ahead, yes, ma'am, if you don't mind.
well,
The question, I think
you have the floor.
Yeah,
If you're wrapping up,
Right, I'm
then
wrapping up.
I'm next.
Yes, sir.
Because I haven't
But then-
spoke, because she's gone one time already. So if you're wrapping up, then let me know.
Okay.
But were you?
I was just going to answer even related, again, I don't know the case that you're talking about, because we handle so many cases, it's hard for me to remember everything. I don't have a Pizza Hut.
Greenwood and Juella.
I don't have a site plan pending in front of me at this moment that has an issue of that sort, but I don't know enough to know which project you're talking about, and I would really be remiss if I may comment on something that I was not fully aware of. With my staff, we bring in cases on a daily basis.
Yes, sir.
And so therefore, they're sometimes in different levels of review, and then we get to a point where we look at everything to see what's going on. So I would have to almost reserve and say, look, I can't really answer that question. I'd have to look at that case and look it up to be able to give you an answer.
Would you be able to come back Thursday?
If you can tell me the name of the project and the applicant, I can have you an answer.
Right, and that's why I was deferring to her, because I think I had
Right.
it wrong, but I know it's Pizza Hut. There's like 3 businesses
Right.
that's setting up in a new little strip plaza
Right.
near Greenwood and Juella. And so I just want to make sure that
I can,
don't want anything
I can
to-
give you an update on that really easily once I know exactly, yeah. We
Yes,
can do
sir.
it.
I appreciate you so much.
You bet.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, sir.
Mark, here is where I'm at. How many cases for site plan approvals do you get for the parish of Caddo specifically?
Well, when we made you do that report back on the 3rd of January in front of the Long Range Committee, out of the I guess there was about 16 cases, only one was the parish.
Okay.
We don't get a lot of parish site plans because most of the activity occurs in the city, but every once in a while we do. This was, I believe, if my memory's right, it was a Pizza Hut, but it was, I believe, the one up on the, off of, near the Walmart.
Yeah, near the tip, I
Yes,
believe, yeah.
that was the one that was the only case we had that was in the parish. So, and then quite often what happens, as you well know, is that if somebody's going to develop something and they want water and sewer, they will typically start the process, but before it's over with, they have been annexed into the city. So there's kind of once something's going on, there is a tendency for those items, to get, those areas to get annexed into the city in order to get full services.
Well, so answer this question for me. If you say 16 out of 16 cases, only one was specific to the parish and would have come to the Caddo Parish Commission under the old way we did it, how does the city council feel about this administrative procedure? It seems like the lion's share of what takes place comes to the city council.
This is true, and they have been supportive of this. They've asked a lot of questions, just like you guys have. But, understanding the court history, all of those 4 cases were city cases that were lost on the site plans. And so they've come to realize and appreciate the reality of what that means. And they understand that not just Bossier City, but Baton Rouge and Lafayette and some of these other cities in Louisiana do the same thing with the site plan review. Cities in Texas all do this same process that I'm making reference to. They realize that that's a good way to be more proactive business-wise and to speed up the process. And they feel like they're taking themselves out of the legal spotlight on that and putting where it should be so that it can be approved through a process that's technical and methodical. And once it's done, all the issues have been addressed and they're not having to be a part of that anymore. And they feel very comfortable, and I can't speak for everyone on the city council, but for the most part, the majority feels very comfortable with that.
But are they trying to repeal theirs?
No, sir, they're not.
Okay.
They're not.
So they've removed themselves with it. They get the lion's share of the cases, or would have gotten the lion's share of the cases. They've gone forward with this process, and they're not trying to repeal it.
No, sir.
If I understand you correctly.
That is correct.
My other issue is if we decide to go in a different direction, and the city council has clearly gone in another direction, would we have a unified development code?
No, in fact, that would be a major stumbling block because the Unified Development Code, once it's approved, means that everything we do at the city, we do in the parish and vice versa. It has to be consistent across the line. That doesn't mean there's not variations. If you're out in the countryside, there's less requirements of certain things. You get into the inner city, there's more requirements because you're trying to do more redevelopment. But the reality is that the code has to be exactly the same in the parish as it is in the city. That's the intent of the Unified Development Code.
Well, I thank you for explaining that. Guys,
Sure.
the reason why I made the motion to defer indefinitely, we dealt with this at the end of last year. I recall when this issue very first came up, and I think maybe administration put it on the agenda at the request of the MPC and Dr. Wilson. We do have representation on the committee that vests this, right? Are these competent individuals that's on this committee? Do you trust them?
Yes, Mr. Demaze, he sits back there.
I'm just asking, because I mean, if it's gone through this committee and been vetted.
He's competent and very professional at what he does. Yes,
Are you okay with Robert Westerman? Is he?
Yes, sir, I know Robert.
Okay, so we have a committee process that vets these things.
Yes, sir.
And we've gone through this at the end of 2016. It was remanded to committee. The committee voted to table it indefinitely after hearing all of this information, after hearing all of these, about all the appeal courts case. One judge who at the time was our honorable district attorney, James Stewart, co-signed an opinion which said What the city of Shreveport was doing is no way to run a municipality. He said, specifically he said, this is no way to run Mayberry, let alone the city of Shreveport and Caddo Parish. And that, you know, while they cannot make the laws, their job is to interpret it, but they strongly advocated for, and this came out of the Second Circuit Court of Appeal, they strongly advocated that the political bodies be removed from this process because there was a continuing cycle, and I mean court case after court case. Dan Wembley, who's deceased now, U.S. Urban Housing, the Sonic case. I mean, case after case after case. I can think of at least 6 cases where it was overturned every single time. And at one point, the judges were looking at charging them court costs or holding them in contempt. And so I asked for us to defer this because it keeps coming back after we have clearly stated our position and we clearly have competent staff working on this. So why do we want to go back? When it first came up, I actually was hesitant to do it, but we ran it on through there and passed it. So we need to stick with what we have. I think this is the right thing to do. It's business friendly. And so I would ask that we table this indefinitely so that we don't continue to have to keep running Mark up and down, up and down, up and down here, guys. It just makes sense. Commissioner Atkins, first time.
Thank you, President Jackson. Mr. Sweeney, when is the City Council scheduled to vote on the UDC?
I'm glad you asked that question. It's a good question. And it actually kind of comes up at the end of your agenda, but I'll go ahead and tell you now. The City Council will not vote on the Unified Development Code until February the 28th.
February 28th.
And I'm going to, and I can come back and repeat this to you, but I'm going to recommend to you guys that you don't take it up until March the 9th. Because I think the intent was from the Long Range Committee was to allow the City Council to go through the process first, and then you guys would take the last step in the process. There is a meeting scheduled for the 8th of February in which we're going to have the MPC board review those additional amendments that I talked to the Long Range Committee about. And they will be reviewing that in a public hearing on Wednesday at 3 o'clock in this room, receiving public comment. And those amendments, those additional amendments will come along with the UDC as it comes forward to you.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Gage White.
Thank you, sir. You mentioned some, President Jackson, that brought back to my memory that we never voted on this as a body. This was something that was done, that was sent to committee that you're talking about tabling. And what I'm asking is that we would move this to Thursday so that we can hear clearly from Mr. Sweeney about the issues with the site plan of the individual that I'm talking about. This is something that has came before us, and I think this is something that needs to be addressed. If at that time you want to vote in another way, let's move it to Thursday and hear the complete details on this. I would like to ask you, when is a site plan required? Is it before the contractor actually pours the concrete and start building, or is it after?
They have to have a site plan approved before they get a building permit.
Okay. That's the first problem, because they are already building, have built, and are working on it, and they're facing a site plan issue. This is what I'm talking about, guys, right here. So if we are facing something like that, then this is something that needs to be looked at to find out what happened. Why were they allowed to get their business to the door, and now they don't even have the site plan that they need to move forward?
Can you tell me what case this is? Because I do not know
what case number it is, but I'll give you the opportunity to look, into it and find out and come back to us on Thursday to give us some clarity about something that we're about to make an important decision on.
I don't have anything like that pending in my office, is my point. And that's the reason why I need to know specifically what case you're making reference to.
It is the Greenwood Road Pizza Hut location, and there's a business that is next door to it also that is a part of this same complex. And the developer has been allowed to pour that concrete, erect that building, and they are getting ready to open for business, but they're at a halt because they do not have a site plan that has been approved.
Okay, and we can check in on that. We certainly can
That's
do
all
that.
I'm asking. So if you all would, as my colleagues, allow this opportunity to go forward after Thursday. If you still feel that way about making that decision, then go ahead. But I would ask you if you would move it to Thursday. Thank you.
One thing, though, I would like to say is that on something like that, it would, and this is just a preference, it'd be better if I spoke with you one-on-one rather than in a commission meeting, because I hate to bring up a case that the applicant's not here or the people that have maybe issues with would not be present. So I don't mind talking about it, but it'd be better if we did this offline so you could see what the issues were. But that's my preference, but I understand what you're saying.
Commissioner Chavez.
Call for the question.
Second.
Question's been called, moved and second, moved by Commissioner Chavez, second by Commissioner Dominic. Call for the question. Please vote. Call for the question. Question has been called to table, so we're voting on tabling indefinitely.
Question was called for.
Call for the question.
Call for question is passed. We move to the substitute motion.
Right. Substitute.
Mr. John.
Table indefinitely. Okay. That's what, please vote. That passes. 75. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Move to authorize the resolution number 14 of 2017, urging Governor Edwards and Louisiana Legislature to review the current ethic laws regarding punishment, fines, and collections.
Move to Thursday.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Hawthorne. I see Commissioner Johnson on the queue.
Yes, I guess some people on this committee, on this commission think that this was passed in 2016 as Resolution 55. But Resolution 55 failed this committee, so therefore I'm bringing it back up again. I think some of the ones who voted against it didn't quite understand the reason why this resolution was put up. This resolution is put up for the governor and the legislators to go and look at what they have in place. Right now, there's a number of people who have outstanding fines, and they have no means to collect those fines unless that person runs for office. And so really it has no teeth unless that person is going to run for office. So they should relook at this program and determine that if this is something that they want to do and is viable, then they need to put some teeth to it so that if a certain person does have a fine, that they can actually go and collect that fine without them having to run for office.
That it? That's it. Please vote. That passes. 8-4.
Authorize resolution number 15 proclaiming February as National Cancer Prevention Month.
So moved. Second. Moved by Commissioner Bowman, second by Commissioner Jackson, by the chair, Vice President Dominic.
Yeah, I would like to include resolution number, is it 15 that we're on?
Yes,
15, 16, appointment of Mr. Ramblin for Thursday, and the other one, Mr. Alexander.
There's been a resolution right on this.
And that's it. That should be it.
Before we go, I just want to speak on the Marvin. I won't be here, but I definitely, and I'll second your motion. I'm sorry.
Okay.
If you want to speak, please.
Oh, no.
I'll speak on this real quick. I won't be here on Thursday, but definitely want to just be on the record as saying kudos to Marvin Alexander. They've done a great job and over in the Cook World area. So I think it's very worthwhile accomplishment in that, what they're doing over there. Please vote on the Global. This is to move to Thursday. All roads. Commissioner Chavez. That passes 12-0.
Move to discussion on additional satellite locations for early voting precincts.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Gage Watts, motion by Commissioner Gage Watts, second by Commissioner Bowman. I see Commissioner Gage Watts on
I was just gonna move to englobo both of the items to move to Thursday.
Second.
move to englobo by Commissioner Gage Watts, second by Commissioner Johnson. I see Commissioner Dominic, so do you want to speak on your motion? Yeah, you want
I
to
digress
speak
at
on
this time.
you want to speak on yourself?
That's it.
My question was, can we discuss this now so we can get it on out of the way? Or is it something that you feel better, or is someone gonna be here Thursday?
I was gonna ask to make sure that Dr. Wilson would have the information that was requested about the feasibility study going forward. So that was something that I wanted to make sure that was available for us on Thursday so that we can make that discussion on these items, or this first item.
Okay. How about the second one?
The
Same thing?
second one, about the crimes in Caddo Parish.
Thursday? Yeah.
Yes, let's move it to Thursday.
Okay.
Do we need
But
any
we're gonna
special
have
guests
some,
from the city?
Well,
Dr. Wilson, we'll have some information. I remember that we had done a study or requested, so you'll have that for Thursday on the,
For the voting?
on the voting precincts, yeah.
I gotta get back with Mr. Robinson and the clerk, with the court on that. Did Mr. Robinson ask us to delay that because we need to get through the last election? So I need to re-engage him and see if he's able to talk to us about that matter, as well as the clerk of the court.
Well, I see no problem with moving both of these to Thursday, that way.
I'm not sure we're gonna have a feasibility study by then.
Well, if we don't, we can at least, it'll be on the agenda and keep it moving, otherwise it just sits there and nothing gets done. Or could possibly, so. I'll support these to move to Thursday.
I got it down.
Commissioner, is that it? Commissioner Lane?
Administrator Wilson, I'll ask you, will you ask somebody from Shreveport Police Department and the Sheriff's Department to be here to speak to us in relationship to the crimes that we've had? I mean, there's obviously been a spike, and I mean, other than picking up the phone and, you know, calling the police, you know, what additional efforts do we need to make as commissioners, and what do we need to tell our constituents when they call us up and say, my neighbor's door got kicked in and they saw a red light on their forehead, and then they gave these people their car keys and the money they had and they took off? What do the citizens of our community need to know when scenarios like that are happening? And others, you know, I guess, you know, obviously you give them your car keys and your money and pray they don't shoot you in the head. But we have some very serious issues, and it does seem like there is a spike recently. And you know, we need to take our community back.
Yeah.
So thank you, Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, for putting this on the agenda. And I would like somebody from the Sheriff's Office and Shreveport Police.
You can make the request.
Before we vote on the englobo, I just want a point of clarification on the agenda. I see the Unified Development Code down here. We actually don't pass that over. I'm just getting clarification real
Well,
quick.
if it's on consent, what we need to do on Thursday is probably delay it at that time, because it's on consent. And
Okay. All right, I just want clarification. So please vote on the englobo. All right, that passes. Go ahead.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right.
Take my. I can make my 5:30.
Well, he's got the bicycle thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Today it's at Metro Aviation.
Just gave me a list.